Today, we're diving into something that is absolutely essential for your mental health and your relationships: setting boundaries. We're going to break down what they are, what they are not, and how you can actually start using them to protect your peace. So, let me ask you this. Do you ever just feel completely drained, overwhelmed? Or maybe there's this little seed of resentment growing that you can't quite put your finger on? Well, you are not alone. These feelings, they're not random. They are basically giant, flashing neon signs that you might need a boundary. It's your gut telling you, hey, something here isn't working for me. Okay, let's just get right into the biggest misunderstanding about boundaries. This is what stops so many of us. We're afraid that setting a boundary is selfish. We think it's mean, or that we're going to hurt someone's feelings, or even worse, that they'll reject us. But the reality? It's the complete opposite. Boundaries are actually an act of self-compassion. They are the rules of engagement that let people know how to treat you respectfully, which is what actually saves relationships in the long run. So, it's time to bust those myths for good. In this first part, we're going to get right to the heart of what boundaries really are. And for a lot of people, this is the big aha moment that changes everything. So, what is a boundary? At its core, it's just an invisible line you draw that tells people what's okay with you and what's not okay. It's not a wall you build to shut everyone out. Think of it more like a fence with a gate. You get to decide who comes in, how long they stay, and what the rules are while they're there. It's all about creating a space where you feel safe and respected. And this, right here, is probably the most important thing to get. Boundaries are not about controlling other people. You can't make someone else change. What you can do is decide what you are going to do. The focus shifts entirely from, I need you to stop doing that, to, if that continues, here's what I am going to do to take care of myself. And this slide just lays it out so perfectly. Trying to control someone sounds like, you can't shout at me. See how that's a demand placed on them? A boundary, on the other hand, sounds like this. If you shout at me, I will leave the conversation. The power is completely back in your hands. You're not forcing them to do anything, you're just stating your own action plan. This really gets to the core of it, doesn't it? When you set a boundary, you're sending a message to yourself that you are worthy of respect. It's a profound act of self-compassion. And honestly, it's also a kindness to the other person because it stops resentment from building up and poisoning the connection between you. You're essentially saying, I care about us enough to make sure this relationship is healthy for me to be in. All right, so now that we've got the what and the why down, let's get into the how. This next section is your practical blueprint, a toolkit you can use to start identifying and building the right boundaries for you. You know, boundaries aren't just one thing. They show up in all areas of our lives. You've got emotional boundaries, like saying, I really care about you, but I just don't have the emotional energy for this conversation right now. Then there are time boundaries, which are huge. That's simply saying, I can chat for about 30 minutes. Recognizing what kind of boundary you need, whether it's about your time, your stuff, or even your conversations, is the very first step. So here's a super simple 5-step process. First, you have to identify what you need. Listen to those feelings of resentment or burnout, they're your clues. Second, communicate it. And you want to do this clearly and kindly, using I statements. Third, and this one is so important, you have to be consistent. Fourth, you state the consequence. This is just what you will do if the line is crossed. And finally, number 5, you have to give yourself permission to feel a little guilty or awkward at first. It's a new skill, and it's going to take some practice. Okay, so knowing how to set a boundary is one thing, but actually doing it, especially when people push back, that's a whole different ballgame. So let's talk about the reality of what happens when your boundaries get tested. Look, these fears are 100% normal. So many of us were raised to be people pleasers, to put everyone else's needs first. So when we finally decide to stand up for ourselves, it can feel really strange, even scary. But that discomfort, it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It just means you're trying something new, and that's where growth happens. And it's really important to understand the stakes here. Research from the Gottman Institute, who are experts in relationships, found that when trust is seriously broken, and this happens all the time when boundaries are just ignored over and over, only about 15% of couples actually manage to fix things without professional help. Now, that's not to scare you. It's to show you just how vital respecting boundaries is for a relationship to actually survive and thrive. So what happens when someone just steamrolls right over your boundary? Well, the first thing you do is calmly reinforce it. Just repeat it. If they keep pushing, that's when you clearly state the consequence you decided on earlier.
Like I said, if you keep talking over me, I'm going to end this conversation. And sometimes, if the behavior is really toxic, you might need to limit your contact to protect your peace. Remember, you don't need them to agree with your boundary, you just need to be committed to upholding it yourself.
Now we get to the best part. And it might sound a little backwards at first, but I promise you, the real payoff of setting good boundaries isn't pushing people away. It's actually creating healthier, stronger, more authentic connections. When your boundaries are clear, amazing things start to happen. You don't lose yourself in your relationships anymore. Mutual respect starts to grow because you respect yourself and you're teaching them how to respect you. That resentment we talked about, it can't grow because you're addressing issues head on. All of this creates this incredible foundation of safety, and that is where real trust and closeness can finally flourish. All right, so let's do a super quick recap of the most important things. Number 1, boundaries are about your behavior, not controlling theirs. Number 2, they are an act of self-love, not selfishness. Number 3, your feelings are your data. Resentment and burnout are your cues. And number 4, healthy boundaries don't destroy relationships. They actually build the trust that preserves them. So I want to leave you with this one question to think about. What is just one small boundary you could set this week? It doesn't have to be some huge, dramatic thing. Even setting a tiny boundary can start to build your confidence and help you create so much more peace in your life. Thanks for watching.